Dorothy in Memphis, Tennessee, in the summer of 1953, didn't own an AIR conditioner. Neither did most of her neighbors. The high that July hit 102 and stayed there for 11 days. She cooked before sunrise. She draped a wet sheet in the bedroom doorway by 7 in the evening. She slept on the back porch, and the upstairs room was still 86 degrees when she left it. 3 things before we count down. Number 9 is what USDA home economists published in a 1948 bulletin and distributed to 2 million households, out of print within a decade of the first affordable window unit. Number 3 is what builders stopped putting into new homes in the early 1960s, and why families had no choice after that but to buy a machine. Number 1 is the full system. Dorothy was already running. None of it was forgotten by accident. Carrier Corporation and General Electric understood when they began marketing window units in 1951. If American families remembered how to cool a house without electricity, the market didn't exist. Subscribe before we start. We come back every few days. Number 15. Summer clothing. The feel of a cotton dress in late July, loose enough that any movement of air went straight through it. Before air conditioning, summer clothing was not fashion. It was temperature management. Cotton, linen, and seersucker allow moisture to wick from skin and evaporate, dropping surface temperature the same way sweating does. Men wore lightweight cotton in pale colors, shirt sleeves or nothing at home. Women wore loose, sleeveless cotton dresses. Children wore shorts and bare feet from June through September. The shift to synthetics came alongside AIR conditioning. In a sealed house, breathability matters less. By 1970, polyester was in nearly everything. Clothing changed, not because fibers improved, but because the house did. Number 14. Hand fans. The sound of paper fans in a Georgia church in August. 100 of them moving in slow rhythm from every pew. A soft flutter through the quieter parts of the sermon. Church fans were the most common kind. Stiff cardboard on a flat stick, printed with a funeral home's name on one side and a Bible verse on the other. Funeral homes gave them free. Churches needed fans. Mortuaries needed advertising, and both understood the arrangement perfectly. Outside church, women carried folding fans through July and August the way they carried umbrellas in October. A paper fan, a woven palm, a 5 and dime Japanese folding fan. The AIR conditioner made all of it unnecessary. Hand fans left daily American life within a decade of affordable window units. Number 13. Community water. The rush of a fire hydrant opened on a block in Chicago in August. A dozen kids running through cold water on hot asphalt. No one asked permission. Someone had a wrench. That was enough. Opening hydrants was technically illegal and informally tolerated. Police looked the other way on the worst days. An open hydrant at 98 degrees in a working-class neighborhood was understood as necessity, not mischief. In smaller towns, it was the swimming hole, a creek bend shaded by willows, a quarry pond, the river at the county line. Nobody owned it. The whole neighborhood showed up. No admission, no lifeguard. A shared understanding that the water was for everyone, and July was reason enough. Number 12. Adjusting the daily schedule. By 11 o'clock, the kitchen was finished. Bread out of the oven by 8. Dishes done. Whatever generated heat happened before 9, while the house still held the cool of the night. Households ran on a heat-adjusted schedule that modern life has abandoned. Baking, canning, ironing before 9. Noon to 3, rest. Farmers started at first light, broke in the afternoon, and finished in the cooling evening. This wasn't a slower era. It was energy management. The body generates heat, the house absorbs it. Running both at full capacity in the hottest hours made the afternoon harder for everyone. They knew this without framing it as strategy. It was just what July looked like. Every family on the block on the same schedule. Everyone fighting the same sun. Number 11. Movie theaters and department stores. The marquee outside the Majestic on Main Street in June 1954. refrigerated air, not the film title. That was smaller. Below it, the cold air was the headline. Movie theaters were among the first public spaces to install mechanical cooling, starting in the 1920s. By the early 1950s, the air conditioning advertisement drew better than the movie title. Families chose the theater partly for the film, and partly for 2 hours inside a cold building. Department stores ran the same logic. An afternoon at Sears or Woolworth's wasn't only shopping, it was a calculated escape. You came for the cool air and left having bought something. Number 10. The whole house attic fan. The roar of it starting at 9 in the evening, the screens trembling slightly from the suction, the air pulling through every open window and out through the attic louvers. 10 minutes. The whole house changed. The whole house attic fan was standard across the country through the 1950s. South, Midwest, New England, the Plains. A large ceiling-mounted fan that pulled outdoor air through every room at once, dropping indoor temperature 10 to 15 degrees in under 20 minutes. It used a fraction of what refrigerant cooling draws today. Carrier's marketing materials in the early 1960s called attic fans inadequate for modern comfort standards. By 1975, builders had stopped installing them, not because they stopped working, because the replacement cost more to buy, more to run, and needed a service contract. Number 9. Root cellar and basement. The stone floor of the cellar in July, 55 degrees on the hottest day of the year, without a single machine. The temperature of the earth itself. Below the frost line, soil holds near constant 50 to 60 degrees year-round, without insulation, without refrigerant, without a single machine running. Families in Iowa, Mississippi, Tennessee, Ohio all knew on the worst nights in July, you put a mattress on the stone floor and slept down there. Not comfortable, cool. In July, that was the point. USDA home management guides through the late 1940s included this explicitly. Directions for pulling cool air up through the house at night. Out of print within a decade of affordable window units. No longer a market for it. Number 8. Summer kitchen. The small building out back, set apart from the main house. A cast iron stove inside, one screen door. The summer kitchen. Before air conditioning, rural homes in the Midwest and South commonly had a detached structure built for warm weather cooking. A wood stove running 2 hours to bake bread raises the indoor temperature and holds it for hours after the fire is out. Moving cooking outside kept that heat from entering the house. Summer kitchens were standard in farmhouse construction through the 1940s and started disappearing in the 1950s as gas ranges and window units arrived. The logic didn't change. The machine made the logic irrelevant. I want to stop here for a minute. What I keep noticing isn't the individual techniques, it's that they formed a system. None of them worked alone. The house built for cross-ventilation, the cooking done before the heat built, the sleeping porch for what the house couldn't cool by evening. A complete approach to a problem every summer created. Within 15 years, the early 1950s to the late 1960s, the whole system came apart. Not because it stopped working, because an industry built around a different solution needed the old one to seem obsolete. Carrier Corporation was a mid-sized manufacturer in the early 1950s. The air conditioning industry they helped build was generating billions per year by 1980. What they sold wasn't just a machine, it was the permanent need for one. Permanent need requires eliminating every alternative. In 1953, a household running these techniques spent almost nothing on summer cooling. Today, the average American home spends over $525 a year on electricity for air conditioning alone. Subscribe if you haven't. We find something like this every few days. Number 7. Shade trees. The row of silver maples on the west side of the house, planted in 1919, their canopy covering the bedroom windows by 2 in the afternoon, blocking the worst heat before it reached the glass. Planting for shade was deliberate, not decorative. Families planted fast-growing trees on the west and south sides to block afternoon sun: elm, maple, sycamore in the Midwest, chinaberry and magnolia in the south, catalpa in Oklahoma and Kansas. USDA extension guides through the 1940s treated this as a measurable cooling strategy and published planting instructions: species, spacing, placement relative to walls and windows. One investment more effective every year. Number 6. Wet sheet and evaporative cooling. The damp sheet hung in the bedroom doorway by 7 in the evening, the cross breeze pulling through it, the air on the far side cooler. Not cold, cooler. In July, that was enough. Evaporative cooling works the same way sweating does. Water evaporating from a surface draws heat from the air. A wet sheet across an open window dropped room temperature 5 to 10 degrees in dry weather. Less in humid climates, but measurable nearly everywhere. In the South, women adapted. Thinner cotton, more frequent wetting, stronger cross ventilation. They understood the limits and worked within them. The sheet in the doorway was free and had been in use centuries before anyone mechanized it. Number 5. Fan with ice. The metal wash basin on the floor in front of the box fan, filled with ice from the delivery truck, running from 7 in the morning until the ice was gone by early afternoon. This was the room air conditioner before anyone named it that. A fan blowing across a block of ice drops the air temperature in a small room by 10 to 15 degrees. By the 1940s, electric fans were standard in urban homes, and the combination was common practice through the worst weeks of summer. Some hung damp sheets in front of the fan instead. Others set shallow pans of cold water near the intake. The ice worked better. The wet sheet cost nothing. GE marketed its first window unit as permanent ice and fan cooling. They knew what they were replacing. Stay for number 3, the screened second-floor porch, what it cost to build once, and what a window unit costs to run for 30 years. Number 4, front porch. The rocking chairs already at the railing before supper. The neighbors from 3 houses down already walking over. Nobody called ahead. It was July. This was understood. Before air conditioning, the front porch was the social architecture of summer. Families moved there when the house became unbearable after dinner and stayed until the air cooled, sometimes until 10 or 11. Children on the steps, adults in the chairs, whatever breeze came through. The front porch declined with air conditioning and television. New homes were built without them. Social life moved inside. The neighborhood still existed. The front of it was empty. Number 3, sleeping porch. The second-floor porch off the main bedroom, screened on 3 sides, an iron bed frame, thin cotton sheets. By 9 o'clock, the upstairs bedroom was still 88 degrees. The sleeping porch was 72 and falling. Sleeping porches were common from the late 1880s through the 1940s. On the second floor, above the ground's radiating heat, they caught the night air. Mattresses out in June, back in September. Doctors recommended them as protection against tuberculosis. By 1965, they had disappeared from new construction. The electricity to run a bedroom window unit over 30 years costs more than the porch cost to build once. Stay for number 2, the Iceman's route and the American industry of 200,000 workers that dissolved in less than a decade without most people noticing it was gone. And after that, why the house you are sitting in right now was built so it cannot cool itself without paying someone for electricity to run their machine. Every month, forever. Number 2, the Iceman. The clatter of ice tongs on the back step and the smell of sawdust and cold water. The Iceman ran through most neighborhoods twice a week through the late 1940s. Families hung a card in the window, 25 pounds, 50, or 100 on the worst weeks. The ice delivery industry was a complete system, harvested from northern lakes in winter, stored in sawdust-packed warehouses, distributed by truck through summer. At its peak in the 1920s, over 200,000 workers, virtually every American household. By 1955, it was effectively gone. Refrigerators replaced the icebox. Window units replaced the fan and ice method. The entire industry, harvesting, warehouses, delivery routes, the iceman himself, dissolved in less than a decade. The ice hadn't stopped working. Number 1. The house itself. The ceilings in the house Dorothy grew up in were 9 feet 4 inches. The contractor who built it in 1921 knew why. Hot air rises. In a 9-foot room, it rises above you. In an 8-foot room, it stays with you. The same house had transom windows, small hinged panels above every interior door. Open them on opposite sides of the house, and hot air moved between rooms regardless of closed doors. Deep eaves shaded the south-facing windows, windows aligned to catch the prevailing breeze, engineered to stay cool. These were standard features through the 1940s, not upgrades. The basic toolkit of a livable house in a hot climate. When Carrier and GE began marketing window units in the early 1950s, builders understood if the machine handled the heat, the design didn't need to. Ceilings dropped. Transoms left the blueprints. Deep eaves were cut. Sleeping porches eliminated. By 1970, the average new home had 8-foot ceilings, no transoms, no porch, and a slot in the wall for a window unit. Dorothy's house stayed cool because someone built it to. Nobody builds one like that anymore. The knowledge hasn't gone anywhere. The incentive to use it has. 15 things that worked as a system, and that an industry dismantled by building permanent need into every new house it could. Try one this week. The cotton, cooking before the heat builds, a fan in the window after dark. None of it requires anything you don't already have. Tell me in the comments, does your house have any of the original features? 9-foot ceilings, transom windows, a sleeping porch, a front porch with room for chairs? I want to know who's still living in one of the old ones and whether it feels different in summer. Subscribe if you haven't. We find something like this every few days.